Heyo, welcome back to my corner. Today we're going to be looking at a game that everyone, including your grandma, played. 2007 was clearly a great year. LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga came out, Halo 3 came out, it was the last year of the Bush administration. You see, everything was great. So what made this game so memorable? Well, maybe it was because it went through the story of The Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, A New Hope, The Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi, all in LEGO. And because this game is so memorable, I thought I would look back on this game. Before I get into it, the weird thing about this game is that I never played it. Well, this specific version. I did play the DS version, which overall, I was surprised that many things ported from this version to the DS really well, but some things were altered and some levels were cut. So keep that in mind. So without further ado, let's move on to Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. A movie that people didn't really like because it got too political. So learn from the mistakes of others, SNL. We start our story with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan Kenobi meeting up with the Trade Federation to negotiate about the blockade of Naboo. We are then escorted into the negotiation chamber. Whoops, our friends are dead now. But I think the Trade Federation really did it by accident. I still think they're inherently good and moral. Even though it seemed very, very deliberate. So, what do we do when we heard that our friends died? We make the table dance. What else do we do? And then we go on to slaughter plenty of innocent battle droids that just so happen to be shooting at us. If only we had common sense lightsaber laws. Next, after murdering all those battle droids, we then take hostage the protocol droid that brought us into the negotiation room, while murdering more battle droids. Great job, peacekeepers! Next, we find the mostly peaceful murderers, with a hostage by the way, in the droid hangar, where they find two rock and roll droids with personal shields that these, quote, peacekeepers need to murder, alongside the dozens of other droids they just murdered. In cold blood, might I add. Then we murder more battle droids just to get into their tank just to impersonate them. Great. Mission done. Chapter 2. Invasion of Naboo? Oh, so this is the one that got cut from the DS version. So the Trade Federation sends their droid armies down to the planet Naboo because they want to prevent more peaceful protesters from getting onto their ship. Now, this is the point where we jump off a tank in order for many more to follow us, only for us to actually get into the mission and not have a single droid tank following us. Because apparently we're intersecting the tanks, even though for some reason they were coming right at us in the cutscene. We make our way through the hordes of battle droids, we destroy the tank that is blocking our path, and we progress further to find the reason that I got this achievement. And it's here where we're introduced to possibly the most hated character in all of Star Wars. It's here where we do some platforming and are forced to utilize Jar Jar because for some reason the developers gave him, alongside a few other characters in the game, a higher jump, a better jump than any double jumping character, for example, a Jedi or a Sith Lord. So he can jump higher than the Jedi, and the Jedi can't jump over these stones, but only he can. That's great and all, but I wish it wasn't Jar Jar. We're sentenced to more time parkouring with Jar Jar. Just kidding, we're not being repetitive. We haven't been sentenced to more parkour with Jar Jar. We've simply just been sentenced to more parkour with Jar Jar in a swamp theme. Totally different. They're not the same. Who cares? So anyway, next thing, we're going to a lake to be able to drown ourselves instead of dealing with Jar Jar. Just kidding. It's to take us to his home city where he was exiled from. Well, at least they did something right. But we asked them for a speeder to the Naboo, a water speeder, and we get it. And the next thing you know, the level's complete. Up next, Chapter 3, Escape from Naboo. Well, look at that, the droid army is just outside the capital. Oh wait, no, they're storming in the capital. No, there is no way the Queen does not have security. Oh, she does have security? They're just bad at their job? Alright, so here come these mostly peaceful protesters to cause some violence, and Obi-Wan nearly kills himself. Great. Why are these battle droids attacking the Queen? She wasn't even attacking them beforehand. She is now, but that's out of self-defense. Unlike those terrorists, she is just defending herself. This just makes no sense. So the Queen, along with Captain Smiley Face, goes along all sorts of rooms and hallways, just to be able to fall down another hole to reach the Jedi that left her. They left you for dead, Queen. Why are you going back to them? Nothing else eventful happens in this mission besides the peacekeeping terrorists, the Queen, and Captain Smiley Face make their way to the palace hangar just to complete the mission. Great. Now we're halfway through the Phantom Menace. Yay. Chapter 4, Mos Espa Pod Race. So they've taken damage, therefore they're landing on Tatooine. Now this makes sense in the movie because you actually get to see them take damage, but in this, you don't, and they weren't fired at leaving the hangar, so that doesn't make sense. So basically, they need a new hyperdrive, which costs 500 cents, because apparently 500 cents is like $5 million. But hey, this is where we meet Anakin, and if he can win the pod race, we get the money. But if he loses, we're all slaves. This chapter is simple. You just complete 3 laps around this track and get in first place. Now, in the DS version, I believe the number is 7, but whatever, who cares? But what was the original version of this level like? No matter which version of the level you play, you still win the 500 cents, which somehow materialized into existence anyway, so why would we need to do this pod race if Anakin already had the money? This just makes no sense again. So anyway, you get the new hyperdrive into the ship, and great, next mission. Chapter 5, Retake the... Wow, awful grammar. Retaking Theed Palace. Our peaceful terrorists then go back to Naboo because for some reason they just went to Tatooine for no reason besides to pick up Anakin. They head back and they side up with the Gungans. We march through what looks like the American Great Plains to get picked up by an Uber tank, and man, the battle between the Gungans and the droids, I wish we got to play this. We then commit an act of terrorism against the battle droids that aren't doing anything to us, and the mission started. But question, there was a tank that shot at the battle droids, and then there's this tank. There are 2 different tanks, so where did the other one that have the pilots go? Did it just completely disappear? Or did something more sinister happen? So we then create massive property damage and slaughtering many battle droids while we're at it. We end up going through more rooms, hallways, and outdoor areas just to get to the hangar. The same one as before, by the way. But it's with a purpose this time. We are in the hangar to rescue... the Smiley Patrol. I swear, these guys look like if Jehovah's Witnesses were to enter the military. And in all honesty, who wants that? So, after driving without a license and rescuing all the Smiley Patrol members, the mission ends. Wait a second, let's look at that ending cutscene again. Anakin just steals a Naboo starfighter and goes for a flight. Now, where could that possibly go? Let's see what Chapter 6 is. Darth Maul? But that's between Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, and Maul. What about Anakin? What about what we just saw? Yeah, it turns out there's another bonus level. Anakins Flight. Why wasn't this included with the rest of Episode 1 instead of just being a bonus? As far as I can tell, it was pretty much finished. Why was it cut? You could have had 7 chapters. It would have worked perfectly fine. After doing just 2 seconds of research, I found out why it wasn't included with the main stuff. You see, it's a new thing that was only in the complete saga, meaning it wasn't in the original. And by original, I mean Lego Star Wars 1, because that was the one with the prequel trilogy. We start in space above Naboo, and then Anakin realizes he's not supposed to poop his pants inside the ship, so out of spite, we commit random acts of terrorism. But not only is Anakin now a terrorist, he's also trespassing into the ship, while also murdering, loving, anything that gets in his way. But that implies he's going somewhere, so where's he going? He's going to the court to create massive property damage, somehow escaping the ship and blowing it up. And the Gungans won because of Anakin. Honestly, I hope they would have lost because Jar Jar was there, but because he survived, terrible, next mission. Alright, back to Darth Maul. Okay, now after Anakin left for his flight of terrorism, now we face Darth Maul while the others go arrest the leaders of the Trade Federation, I guess. And as a quick summary, bam bam, Qui-Gon dies. But hey, neither does Maul. We're all good. Cue tragic scene, cue ending cutscene. That's all you get with the free version on iOS, folks. Now, if you want the rest, you're either gonna have to pay me $6.99 for the rest of the game, or you're gonna have to like and subscribe because I don't do this for free. On to Attack of the Clones. Episode 2, Chapter 1. Bounty Hunter Pursuit. There's an attempt on Anakin's future wife's life. The Jedi chase the bounty hunter. The Jedi catch the bounty hunter. The bounty hunter dies at the hands of Jango Fett. And that's how you describe an entire mission in 30 seconds or less. Chapter 2, Discovery on Kamino. Or as it's otherwise known in the DS version, Chapter 1, Discovery on Kamino. Obi-Wan stares at a dart while sitting in front of Kamino. He then lands on a Kamino landing strip and watches a Kaminoan be a moron. We then have to fix his mistakes. We follow the Kaminoan to where? Inside the massive facility, where we'll eventually find a massive clone army. But these are just clones. Who did they clone to make this entire grand army for the Republic? I guess they told us already now, didn't they? After dealing with the droids that recognized us from our terrorist spree last time, we then go ahead and chase Jango Fett. We continue to relentlessly chase Jango Fett, even through harsh environments outside and more hallways to get to Slave 1. Wow, I didn't know we were gonna kill Jango Fett. I thought we were just gonna leave our terrorism to battle droids. Turns out we're gonna be a murderer too. Just kidding. Did you really think that a boss's final piece of health going away would kill him? No, of course not. It just lets him get away. Then Obi-Wan throws a tracker onto the ship, and he sulks off back to his own ship to follow it. He follows Jango Fett to this giant orange planet that looks quite a lot like the sun. Oh, it's called Geonosis? Okay. And the mission's over. Yay. Chapter 3, Droid Factory. Obi-Wan flying through the valley. He then lands and has this creepy bug thing staring at him. He sends a signal to a royal ship that happens to have Anakin and Padme in it. What were they doing before that moment? Then they get the transmission that Obi-Wan's in trouble. So they make a U-turn back to Geonosis after their date night and bang on a door. Padme is an actual peaceful person who simply pushes a button to open the door. Hey, look, you know how I was saying that Jedi could possibly meet murderers before with Jango Fett? Well, it's happening now. I was only kidding there. I didn't expect it to actually happen. Good God. So now, not only has Anakin been trespassing, this is his second offense now, he has also created enormous property damage, and he's a murderer now. So we make our way through more and more enemies, killing them all, until we make it to Obi-Wan. I guess he's training early, ain't he? We free Obi-Wan only to find that we're now surrounded by a bunch of droids and Jango Fett. Because for some reason, all those droids didn't stop us before, but they do now. Because that makes sense. Chapter 4, Jedi Battle. Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Padme are all strapped to pillars with dancing battle droids. A bunch of Jedi revealed themselves to be there and fight to the death against these people. Mace Windu frees Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Padme. He then kills even more battle droids. Finally, he murders Jango Fett. I wonder what Jango Fett was thinking before he got killed.
This should be easy, right? I killed the other one. Oh my god, this one's a lot harder to kill. Oh my god. Oh no, 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 no. What about my son? What about my son? Oh!
Well, that's how to scar a child. But everything's okay now, the clones show up. Moving from a darker note, Chapter 5, Gunship Cavalry. It's a short mission that requires you to go along this cliffside, valley, I don't know. until you get to this Death Star looking thing. You have to blow up those little generator things, and boom, the mission's over. Like the Mos Espa pod racing mission in the Phantom Menace, this mission also has an original version included in the complete saga. So what's that like? The only difference between the original ending and the final ending is the amount of polish. Basically, it's the same cutscene, except the final version looks better. But who cares about that? We have a count to kill. Chapter 6. Count Dooku lands in a hole in the wall. We land there too to chase him. Our gunship gets shot down, and I'm surprised we didn't have to revert to last checkpoint. After witnessing his friends die, Anakin just smiles and laughs it off. Well, at least Obi-Wan taught him right now, didn't he? Then we murder more battle droids that get in the way between us and the Count. Oh, also the bug things. Don't forget the bug things. We finally confront Dooku, but then we realize that he's too good for us. You see, he cuts Anakin's hand off. But then Master Yoda shows up, so he helps Obi-Wan take Dooku out. Even though in the movie, both Anakin and Obi-Wan are injured. I never thought that 900-year-old green man would be so effective. Then we take out Count Dooku's final heart to kill him. Just kidding, you know the rule with Jango Fett. The first time you take out the last heart, he just gets away. The second time, then you kill him. See? Totally makes sense somehow. Cue Yoda's depression, cue Palpatine and Count Dooku scheming. And that's the end of Attack of the Clones. Now, there is a series between Episode 2 and Episode 3, The Clone Wars, which you should watch before you see this next section. Okay? I'm going to give you a minute to do that. Okay, you're back. Good. Let's get into it. But before we get into Revenge of the Sith, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified of when I upload. Let's pretend like I didn't do a shameless plug and move on to Chapter 1, Battle over Coruscant. We start with Obi-Wan and Anakin flying above Coruscant. Why are they doing this? Well, if you had read the text crawl, which no one does, I can assure you, or if you watched Season 7 of the Clone Wars, you'll know that the reason these two are out here above Coruscant is because the Chancellor got kidnapped by the Separatists. Well, then you may ask, well then why don't they leave if they have the Chancellor? Answer: the planetary shield is up, meaning they can't leave. So these two are going to save him. Then we enter into possibly the greatest mission in the game. Not only some of the best music in the game, but also some of the greatest visual effects and showing how the battle actually is. And unlike the other on-rail missions in the game, like for example Mos Espa Pod Race and the original version of Gunship Cavalry, this is actually a good mission because it's not too difficult, it's very interesting, and you don't die every 5 seconds. Wow, I just split a Separatist ship in half. Wow, look at that, I can save clone pilots. Wow, I can destroy the bridge of the Separatist ship. Wow, I can fly through the hangar of a Republic cruiser. The mission ends by landing in General Grievous's command ship. Not exactly a peaceful landing though, but hey, it works. Chapter 2, Chancellor in Peril. Hey, remember Battle over Coruscant in the DS version? And then that ending cutscene that had Count Dooku lose his hand and then get decapitated and then the Chancellor was free? Yeah, that one. It was condensed into a cutscene for the DS. We go to find the Chancellor. We found the Chancellor bound to a chair. And look who shows up. Time for a rematch. It's weird to think the DS version of this was way more violent than the console version. But yay, the Chancellor's free. It looks as if the Chancellor was never bound to the chair, so why didn't he escape? Maybe he was waiting for us. How considerate. We're chased by a random wall all the way to the bridge, where we meet General Grievous. Being the coward he is, he sends his Magna Guards to kill us while taking an escape pod. Anyway, we kill the Magna Guards and the droids on the bridge, and make another happy landing onto Coruscant. Just look at how happy this is. I mean, really. I couldn't be any happier with this. Chapter 3, General Grievous. This whole level's a boss fight, by the way. Obi-Wan lands on Utapau and meets one of the many Commander Codys in the game. We see General Grievous striding along like some model or something, and then he just shakes his head at us and starts attacking. So we fight him with the combined abilities of Commander Cody and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Last heart, and oh no, Commander Cody's dead, and Grievous is gonna get away. Wait, what? Somehow everyone else gets to run out of hearts, and they all get to live to fight another day, yet Grievous doesn't? Maybe that cutscene counted as a boss fight, who knows. Chapter 4, Defense of Kashyyyk, with 3 Ys. Welcome to Kashyyyk, where Yoda rides a Wookiee taxi, and we first meet Chewbacca. Here, we're dropped straight into the mission. After we drop the bridge, we find some more clones that are just walking around idle. We find a bunch of clones making potentially a satanic circle, who knows? So we go to investigate. But then Commander Cody too gets a message from Darth Sidious, where he finds out what the Jedi will do to him if they ever get in his way, so they decide to do something before Yoda can ever hurt them. And this fear isn't just against Yoda, it's against all Jedi. Yeah, I think they would have been better off with peace talks. After we kill Cody Jr. and Cody III, we then lower the bridge to free some Wookiees. Not only do we give Chewbacca an Indiana Jones hat, but we also lower another bridge. Fun fact, this is the only mission in the game where both clones and battle droids show up, and they're both enemies, and they seem to be working together. I mean, in the movie they don't. They're still enemies, except with the clones, the Jedi are the new enemy too. But in this, they just seem to be working together to kill the Jedi. We move on from Walker on the beach to a droid arena in a swamp where an ARC fighter is resting in peace. We then go into the forest to find that there are new variants of clones shooting at us. I mean, I'm glad that there's more variation in the people who are shooting at us. After going up the hill that was in the forest, and after opening the door that was at the top of the hill, we go into a meadow where we find a walker and a bunch of clone troopers and battle droids. We find the escape pod ship thing and release it, and boom, end of the mission. Chapter 5, Ruin of the Jedi. This one's a long mission but can be described very briefly. We're introduced to a deleted scene from Revenge of the Sith. After making it into the Jedi Temple, we make it to this room. I don't know what it's called, but it's the mission right before this room, again I don't know what it's called, to where we found out that Shaak-Ti died for the 5th time now. This time she was killed by Anakin Skywalker, now known as Darth Vader. On to the next chapter, Chapter 6, Darth Vader. Welcome to Mustafar, where we find out why Anakin did this was because he had a pregnant wife, and the Jedi wouldn't allow that. So Anakin and Obi-Wan start fighting. This level is interesting because Anakin and Obi-Wan actually work together to survive to some degree while fighting. Both of these places, they're working together, and here they fight, and repeat. Then they both make it to a rock where they fight it out. You're both each given 10 hearts. And yes, you can fight together as 2 players. One person plays as Obi-Wan, the other as Anakin. And yes, you can switch characters mid-fight. Meaning, here's what would happen if Obi-Wan were to win the fight. So what would happen if Anakin were to win the fight? My god, he kills Obi-Wan? Oh wait, no, it's just an extended scene. Never mind. Same result. Here we see Padme giving birth to Luke Skywalker and Leia Organa. Hey, I didn't know you were able to show childbirth to 10-year-olds, but whatever. Oh no, Padme's dead. And her children start crying. Sidious then rescues Anakin from Mustafar and puts him in the classic black suit we all know and love as Vader. He then destroys everything in the vicinity because he now knows his wife is dead. So that was the end of Revenge of the Sith, and I hope you liked the video. I'm probably gonna make another video or 2 about this because I didn't cover the original trilogy and other things in it for time reasons. And I also had to get this video out by today. So, thank you for watching. I hope you liked the video. Subscribe if you like this stuff and hit the bell if you want to be notified on when I upload and stuff. Anyway, thank you for watching and have a good day. See ya!